My name is Leora Vale, and I was 23 when the truth finally snapped inside me. It happened in our living room, the one with peeling wallpaper and a fan that clicked every time it turned, a sound I'd grown up hearing, a sound I used to find comforting. That night, it felt like a countdown. My mother didn't ease into it. She never did. She slid a folder across the table and said, with a strange pride in her voice, "We spent 99% of your savings to buy your sister's apartment." The words hit like cold water, but my face didn't move. I just watched her fingers drum on the folder, the same way they used to drum on my report cards when she was disappointed. My sister leaned back on the sofa, crossing her legs like a queen on a throne she didn't earn. She smirked and said, "You don't have a single penny left, Leora." But it was my brother who twisted the knife. Laughing under his breath, he added, "People like you never own anything. You'll spend your whole life renting rooms." I remember the light in the room flickering at that exact moment, an old bulb, half dead, but it felt symbolic, like even the house was tired of their cruelty. And me? I didn't flinch. Instead, I laughed. A quiet, controlled laugh that made all three of them shift uneasily. Because they weren't expecting that reaction. They were waiting for tears, for begging, for the usual silence I gave them. They didn't know I had already withdrawn every important document. They didn't know what those savings actually were. They didn't know what I truly owned. But they were about to. Because the apartment they bought? It never legally belonged to my sister. My mother's smile faltered first. She didn't like unpredictable reactions. She liked control, order, obedience. So when I laughed, she narrowed her eyes and said, "Wipe that smile. You should be grateful your sister finally has stability. You never needed that money anyway." Grateful. For losing everything I worked for. I leaned back in my chair, feeling the faint vibration of the ceiling fan above us, its clicking growing louder, like it was counting down to something they couldn't hear yet. My sister flipped her hair over her shoulder and said, "Honestly, Leora, you should thank us. If that money stayed with you, you'd just waste it." I studied her face. Perfectly done makeup, brand new phone, the silver bracelet she borrowed from me months ago and never returned. She had no idea how transparent her entitlement looked. But my brother, he reclined in his seat with a smugness that had been building for years. "Let her laugh," he said. "Landlords love people like her. Quiet, desperate, always settling for scraps." Quiet, desperate, scraps. Their words echoed inside me, not as wounds, but as confirmation. Confirmation that the people who raised me had never seen me as family, only as a resource. A wallet. A fallback. I tapped the folder my mother pushed toward me, the one holding the apartment papers. The pages inside were thin, off-white, slightly crinkled at the edges. I knew exactly what they said and what was missing. My mother mistook my silence for surrender. She said, almost triumphantly, "The deed is already signed in your sister's name. Everything is settled." I finally looked up. Calm. Steady. Because they still didn't know the one thing that mattered. The deed they signed wasn't valid. My sister let out a confused laugh. "What do you mean it's not valid? Mom signed everything. The agent signed. The bank approved." I slid the folder closer, letting my fingertips rest on the edge. Papers always felt like truth you could touch, and tonight they were exactly that. "You signed the wrong deed," I said softly. My mother straightened immediately. The confidence drained from her posture like someone had pulled a thread. Impossible. I checked every page. She had. Carefully. But she checked the wrong document. I inched the papers out just far enough for them to see the corner of the title. Property Transfer Review, Provisional. Not final. Not legal. Not binding. My sister snatched the top page and flipped through it, her face tightening with every line she didn't understand. "Why does it say review everywhere?" My brother stood abruptly, the chair legs scraping against the floor. "Stop messing with us, Leora. The agent said it was done." I breathed in slowly. The room smelled like dust, old curtains, and that faint lemon cleaner my mother loved. I let the stillness build before I answered. The agent said it could be done. I paused. With my signature. A silence dropped over the room, thick and uneasy. My mother's voice softened into something dangerously close to fear. Are you saying your signature is required? For this to be legal? I nodded once. My sister swallowed hard. My brother muttered something under his breath. And for the first time in years, I could feel the balance shift, subtle but unmistakable. A tremor in the air, like the house knew justice had finally stepped inside. I folded the papers back neatly and closed the folder. You can't take what legally belongs to me, I said quietly. Not without consequences. Their faces changed. But the real twist was still coming. My mother's voice dropped to a whisper, the kind she used only when she felt cornered. Leora, sweetheart, we thought you'd agree. Your sister needed a place. You've always been the reasonable one. Reasonable, their word for sacrificial. I stood slowly, letting the chair legs glide across the floor instead of scrape. My movements were calm, deliberate. The kind of calm that makes people nervous. My sister finally found her voice. So what now? You're going to ruin everything because of a signature? I looked at her, really looked at her. The girl who got everything without lifting a finger. The girl for whom my parents bent rules, morals, and now my savings. No, I said. I'm going to correct everything. My brother scoffed. By doing what? Backing out? You wouldn't dare. Mom will cut you off completely. I gave him a small smile. She already has. The fan clicked faster now, as if marking the tension pulsing through the room. I walked to the shelf near the window, the one holding dusty photo frames and forgotten trophies, and pulled out a slim black envelope I had hidden months ago. The paper was thick, embossed, unmistakably official. I placed it gently on the table. My mother froze. My sister leaned forward. My brother stepped back. What's that? My sister whispered. I tapped the envelope. Proof of the real purchase I made. My mother's jaw tightened. Real purchase? Leora, what did you do? I met her eyes with the calm she had always mistaken for weakness. While you were trying to give away my savings. I opened the envelope, revealing a set of documents thicker, heavier, far more important than theirs. I bought something none of you know about. Their faces paled. All three at once. Because the stamp on the first page was unmistakable. The moment my sister saw the gold embossed seal, she gasped. My mother pressed a hand to her chest. My brother stepped closer to spite himself. Because that seal didn't belong to a bank, or a landlord, or a loan office. It belonged to the housing authority itself. I slid the first page out, thick paper, watermarked, the kind that didn't bend easily. The header read, Full Ownership Certification, Unit 804. My brother frowned. Unit 804? That's not the apartment we tried to buy. No, I said softly. It's the one directly above it. My sister's face flushed. You bought an apartment? With what money? I let out a slow exhale. The truth felt warm in my chest, a small flame I had been sheltering for months. With the savings you thought you stole. My mother shook her head, confused. But we checked your account. It was empty. I nodded. The public account was empty. Then I tapped the document. My actual savings? The ones I worked for? The ones I never told anyone about? Those were in a private investment account. My brother's arrogance cracked. You hid money from us? I tilted my head. You don't hide things from family. You protect them from thieves. A sharp silence cut through the room. My sister grabbed the papers with trembling fingers, flipping through line after line. This says you paid in full, and it's under your name alone. Yes. And it's already registered? Yes. My mother sank into her chair like the strength had been pulled out of her spine. But that wasn't even the part that rattled them most. I placed one more document on the table. The one they didn't see coming. Because Unit 804 wasn't just mine. It controlled something far bigger. My sister stared at the newest document as if it were written in a language she'd never seen. My brother leaned in first, squinting at the heading. Building Access Authorization? He blinked. My mother frowned. My sister's breath hitched. I sat back down, letting the moment settle like dust floating in a sunbeam. Unit 804, I said quietly, comes with tier-level ownership privileges. My mother shook her head. What privileges? I tapped the page. Control over the building's rental roster, maintenance approvals, and, most importantly, I paused, watching their expressions tighten. Veto power over new occupant registrations. My sister's lips parted. Wait, that means… My brother finished it for her, voice unsteady for the first time all evening. She can decide who gets approved to live in this building, including us. I didn't need to confirm it. The truth was right there in black ink. My mother clutched the table edge. Leora, your sister's application
is pending, I said. Calm.
Controlled. Pending my approval. My sister slammed her hand on the table, panic cracking through her voice. You wouldn't dare. I already told my friends I'm moving there. I already posted pictures. I raised an eyebrow. Of an apartment you don't legally own? Her mouth snapped shut. My brother stepped forward, anger and fear wrestling in his eyes. So, you're going to hold this over us? Is that your plan? I looked at him, and for the first time, he couldn't hold my gaze. No, I said softly. I'm going to let the truth do it for me. My sister swallowed hard. My mother whispered, What truth? I slid the last page from the envelope, the one they never imagined existed. Their faces drained instantly. Because this page didn't just expose what I owned, it exposed what they had done. My mother's fingers trembled as she reached for the final page, but I held it back for a moment, letting the weight of the air settle. Even the fan stopped clicking for a second, as if the whole house leaned in to listen. I laid the document flat on the table. Across the top, in bold letters, it read, Unauthorized withdrawal investigation, preliminary findings. My sister stumbled a step backward. My brother froze in place. My mother's breath left her in a sharp, frightened gasp. "W, where did you get this?" she whispered. I kept my voice low, steady. From the bank manager. The same one who called me when someone tried to access my locked private account. My sister shook her head violently. We didn't touch your private account. We only took what was in your main one. Exactly, I said. And the bank noticed the attempt to reach the other one. It triggered an automatic review. My brother swallowed hard. Review of what? I turned the page toward them. Of every withdrawal you made under my name. My mother's voice cracked. Leora, we're your family. Family doesn't forge signatures, I said gently. The color drained from her face. My brother stepped forward as if to snatch the paper, but I slid it away, not in anger, just in ownership. The bank concluded the withdrawal used to buy your sister's apartment was unauthorized. Meaning, my sister's knees buckled onto the sofa. Meaning the transaction is frozen? I nodded. Pending my statement. My mother covered her mouth. My brother whispered something like a curse under his breath, but stopped himself. The room felt smaller now. Tighter. Like the walls themselves had turned to listen. I closed the envelope slowly. Tomorrow morning, the housing authority emails me the final decision. My sister's voice broke entirely. What decision? I looked at all three of them. Calm, unshaken, finally in a place of quiet truth. Whether your apartment application gets rejected, I paused, or whether the investigation becomes official. Their world tilted. But my final choice? They didn't know it yet. That night, I didn't sleep. Not out of fear, but because for the first time in my life, I finally felt the weight lifting off my shoulders. I sat on the balcony of my small rented room, the cold air brushing my face, the city lights flickering beneath me like a quiet promise. You're almost free. By morning, my inbox held 2 emails. One from the housing authority, one from the bank's fraud department. I got dressed slowly, deliberately, the way people do when they know the day will change everything. When I walked into the living room, my family was already waiting. My mother's eyes were red, my brother restless, my sister shaking. My mother spoke first. Leora, we know we messed up, but please don't ruin your sister's future. I studied her, for a long moment. The woman who defended everyone but me, who assumed my silence meant weakness, who thought I would break instead of bend. I finally sat across from them. "I'm not here to ruin anyone," I said softly. "I'm here to stop the ruining of me." My sister wiped her tears. "So, what did the housing authority say?" I opened the email on my phone and turned it toward them. "Your application has been rejected." My brother cursed under his breath. My mother covered her mouth. My sister shook her head in disbelief. "But there's more." I opened the second email. "The fraudulent withdrawal case?" "They closed it." My mother blinked. "Closed? Why?" I looked at her, calm, steady, finally grounded in my own voice. "Because I told them I wouldn't press charges." My sister broke into sobs, relief, fear, shame, all tangled. My brother stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. My mother whispered, Why show mercy after what we did?" I stood, picking up my folder, mine fully mine, and slipped the documents inside. "Because I'm done teaching you through pain," I said gently. "Now I'm teaching you through consequences." I walked toward the door, pausing only once. "When you try to take everything from me," I smiled softly, "you helped me see what I already had." The morning light hit my face as I stepped outside, warm, clean, unclaimed. They took my savings. They took my trust. They even tried to take my future. But without knowing it, they taught me how to build one on my own.
Không biết hỏi vừa đây có bao nhiêu